Alright, welcome back guys to Game Education. So today we're going to have a look at just the general principles of games like Gates of Hell, Ostfront, which you can really apply to a lot of war games that people like to play these days. So games like Ostfront, maybe also Men of War, um, War Game Red Dragon, Steel Division 2, even some of the ideas that you need to use to play well, you could even apply to games like War Thunder and other games like that too. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start a new conquest dynamic campaign. This time I'll be the USSR, and it'll be normal difficulty, medium campaign size, and with the Fog of War on, because the Fog of War being on is a pretty important thing that makes the difficulty what it is. So let's just load into the campaign here. Okay, here we go. So if you watched any of the other videos that I did yesterday, you know when you start the conquest campaign, you do start with 6 research points that you can use to unlock any variety of units that you think would be interesting, or the style that you want to play. And so this time, because yesterday I used a lot of tanks, today what I'm gonna use is not tanks. Let me just mute my Discord a little bit. Alright, so today I'm not going to use any tanks. What I'm going to use instead is one of these anti-infantry guns, and then just the rest infantry, so that we can see, you know, I say that you can play in a variety of ways, and I'm going to actually prove it by doing so. So I'm going to buy, not buy, but research one of those HE guns, HE being high explosive. Let's get both of those, and the upgraded rifle squad as well. Now, one of the things that when we play games like this, that we have to pay attention to is the resources at our disposal, and kind of like the value of units, and then whether they are, let's say, disposable or not. And so if we look at something like this unit here called Border Patrol. This Border Patrol unit comes with 6 men, and it only costs 36 of this resource. And for 36 of that resource you get 6 men, which if you do the math, that means 6 resource per man. So if I lose one of these men, I only lose 6 resource really, which in the large scheme of things, considering you start with 1,000 that we can see here, losing 6 is no big deal. And so when you think about that, you can use infantry like these as kinds of scouts and spread them around. You can buy a lot of them, and if they die, it's not a big issue, but sometimes the information they provide to you, because Fog of War is on, the information they provide to you by showing you where enemy units are so that you can prepare for those enemy units and engage them competently, that information is worth more than you would lose by this one soldier dying. So it's not always just about take the soldiers and can they fight, do they do how much damage. We're not thinking in this kind of purely linear way of they have guns, they go shoot, and that's all they do. Because that's not how most war games work. And you know, most war games try to simulate real life warfare. And real life warfare also doesn't work like that. You don't just send wave after wave of men in a direct line. You know, that's very World War One, and combat has progressed since then. But we can use these kinds of cheap units in a very valuable way. So what I'll do is I will buy, let's say, let's put a couple of these in here and find the HE gun that I want to bring. There it is. Now, because I don't have any tanks, and if the AI does bring some tanks, you know, it is important to have something to deal with that beyond this one single unit. This gun should be able to still destroy some tanks. But beyond that, you know, sometimes the AI brings units where you're not expecting them, and so just having one valuable unit purely as like your anti-tank unit can come back to bite you in the ass, because if you have your gun set up and it's firing in this direction, but there are tanks coming from the right or the left or even behind, you're going to have to waste precious time realigning your gun, hoping that it doesn't get killed or caught out in the meantime while you're doing that. And so focusing all of your specific powers for a certain purpose into one unit as well is not a great tactic for beginners. You know, if you're a very, very skilled player and you really understand the game well, you can of course do that. But this stream isn't for super experienced players. This is to help beginners understand, you know, the basic principles of how we look at these games. And this is one of the general principles, is you need to spread out your forces. Some of your forces will be good at killing infantry. Some of your forces will be good at killing tanks or vehicles or other things like that. And you don't want to compress everything into one unit, because if that unit is then killed, you'll have no way to counter. Hello QQ Taser, nice to see you again, welcome back. So you would have no way then to counter those kinds of units if you've compressed everything into just one unit. So I am going to also bring an AT detachment as well. And I did unlock these rifle squads. So let's maybe take one of these border patrol out and put this rifle squad in here. Maybe take this one out too. And instead, I'll take a medic. Now these rifle squads, we see they cost 109 of the resource. You get many, many more of them. If we click on the unit itself, we can have a look at these statistics, and we can even compare the statistics to other units. Let's click on the border patrol and have a look. So you might notice here that the HP is very, very different. The border patrol only have 100 HP, whereas the men in the upgraded or higher tier or higher technology tier, they have 200 HP. So they will survive more shots. They will then, of course, by surviving more, they will also be able to shoot more and do more damage. So then having a medic available to keep these units alive when possible is another way of increasing the value, or making sure you don't lose the value of these units. Whereas the border patrol units being so cheap and not super great in terms of statistics, in terms of their HP and their accuracy and things like that, we can use these as more of a kind of disposable recon unit, so that we can send it ahead. It can reveal through the fog of war what the AI has set up, what kinds of units they have, and where those units are. And then with that information is the valuable resource that you want to gain. Knowing what your opponent has is incredibly valuable, as then you have the capability to counter that. If you don't know, you can't counter it. If you send all your men into a small village without knowing what's in there, they might just come across a hidden MG or a hidden tank that then spews its, oops, sorry, hit my microphone, that then spews its machine gun across them, and even all 6 of the men could suddenly die within 3 seconds. So information is so valuable in these kinds of games. Let's see, so there's 10 resource left here. I don't think I can fit another infantry squad into stage 1. But I could fit one into stage 2. These 2 border patrols, they're very cheap. Maybe another AT detachment, just in case. Now, if I'm going to be using primarily this HE gun, this high explosive gun, this anti-infantry gun, and that's going to be my, let's say, my unicorn unit, then I'm going to be firing it a lot. I'm going to be using it a lot, because out of 1,000 resource that I had here, I spent a third. 330 out of 1,000 is a third, so I spent a third of my starting points on this one unit. And that is in a way compressing, but because I understand the game, I can do that. And you can do it too, as long as you follow these principles. But using it so much, it could run out of ammo. And that's one of the interesting things that I like about this game, is that ammo does really play into it and is a factor. So what I can do is I can buy one of these ammo crates and bring it in my stage 2. And that way then I can just place this either nearby or behind the infantry gun. And if it's starting to run out of ammo, it will just resupply itself. And it can keep firing, almost forever. Not forever. The ammo crate does have limitations. But certainly for a much, much longer time. So I have another AT detachment. I guess I'll put another medic squad in here, just in case. Maybe some more border patrol. And even another border patrol. So these are so cheap that I can bring 4 of these in stage 2. It's very, very kind of spammy. But I'm trying to focus around this one. These are going to be reserve troops that just allow me to gain that vision, to gain that information, so that I can put this gun to best use. Now, if you haven't played this game before, I'll just go over some of the other kind of aspects of what we can see here. So on the right side here, we have the stages. And basically what these stages are, they limit how many units you can bring in each stage. And each stage, when you actually play the battle, costs resources to buy and bring in. And usually you start with enough to bring both the first and the second stage immediately anyway. Through the research tree, you can also research further call-in stages. So call-in stage 3 here, call-in stage 4 and 5 will unlock these padlocked stages that we see here. So once those are unlocked, you can then buy even more units and allow you to bring more units in during the battle. This is only the very beginning of the campaign. So for the first battle, it's not so hugely difficult. I mean, the game is overall fairly difficult if you're a new player anyway. But the first mission is at least the easiest one out of the difficulty. And this box here is your full army. These are all your units, which you then separate into call-in stages. And you don't have to bring all your units. I could, for example, leave this border patrol squad here, and even after the battle, when we come back to this screen, which you come back to after every battle, this border patrol squad will still be here. So this box generally represents your full army, and this is more specific to the actual battle and the call-in stages. The left side here shows you all the different units that you can research if you want to. And if you want to have a browse and have a look at all the different units, you can do that just by clicking on them. This, for example, is a anti-air gun on top of a truck. Looks pretty interesting. This one is a T-70 tank. And if you want to look at any of the statistics, just as before, you can click on the unit here, and then you get the specifications on the right hand side, which you can browse at your leisure. So that being said, the first thing we have to do here now is we have to press this select campaign button. Oh, you're watching me on your laptop and it works so much better. Okay, good. I'm glad that works for you, QQ Taser. So let's have a look at the campaign. So this is generally the way it goes, at least if you choose the same setup that I chose with the medium campaign length. Once you've set up your army and you know what you want to bring in your first mission, you have to choose the mission that you're going to fight first. So if I mouse over these, we get things like risk. The enemy, which is Germany, can never be different than that. If you're USSR, you're against Germany. If you're Germany, you're against USSR. It tells you the rewards that you would get for winning this one, which would be 400 of the resource that you use for buying new units and 1 extra research point. I keep saying that wrong for some reason. And muting once more my Discord. This second one is higher risk, which means the units that the AI bring might be of higher quality, or there might be more of them. Generally, unless I'm feeling very confident in my army loadout and I think I can steamroll my opponent, I'm going to take the 1-star risk. And a nice little extra addition that has been added to this game is seasons. And so if we have a look at the picture under the season there, we can see it's a little bit snowy. Compared to this one, it's brown. And I think the way it works is in the top half of the map here will be kind of snowy maps or winter maps, and in the southern half of the map here will be non-winter maps, let's say. But I want to take this risk 1 battle, so I press confirm here. And then if I click on the battle location, which we can see here, which says Narofominsk, I think that's right, we can click on this and we get a kind of aerial picture of what the battle map is going to look like. And you can use this if you like to kind of think about what units might be more effective than others. And some of the general principles in regards to that are that if the terrain is open, then you're going to benefit more from units that can shoot at longer ranges. And those units will be things like anti-tank guns. The anti-infantry gun that I researched and bought would also be useful in this kind of map. Of course, tanks themselves, artillery guns, and so on and so forth. Alternatively, if you're on a map that is much more enclosed, so if you have a lot of buildings, a lot of villages, then the line of sight and the ranges at which your units can fight is going to be severely reduced. And in those cases, then that's when things like the anti-tank guns and anti-infantry guns and tanks become less useful, and infantry become more useful. Because it can be very easy to hide some infantry behind a building with an anti-tank grenade, with an anti-tank rifle, and the tank or the vehicle goes past the infantry come out, shoot it in the side, shoot it in the rear where the armor is weaker, and then the vehicle is lost to one single infantry unit. And we think about the difference in cost. Okay, so I still have this T70M selected, and it actually tells us here the cost. If I had researched this tank, it would cost me 330 to buy it. And move over to the AT detachment over here. The AT detachment costs 48 resource. Okay, that's much less. So you could buy 6 AT detachments or one of these tanks, but just one AT detachment can kill that tank if you use it correctly. Now the anti-tank rifle itself isn't super powerful. It's not super great at killing tanks from the front, at least not well-armored tanks. But all tanks, at least in World War II games, tanks tend to follow the same principles, which are that the front of the tank has pretty good armor, and the armor has to be good at the front so that anti-tank rifles can't just shoot it and kill it so easily. But the armor at the side and the armor at the back is much weaker, and it's very easy to kill tanks from the side and from the back if you can get into that position. And so that's why then we consider the terrain, and we consider the units, and we consider the price of the units. So if I can kill a tank that costs 330 resource with my AT detachment that only costs 48, that's a huge that's huge efficiency. You know, I only spent 48, but I killed or I destroyed 330 points worth of resources for that only 48 points that I spent. And if you can do that consistently in any of the war games, that's when you're going to be gaining an advantage. That's when you're going to be ahead of your opponent. And in that way, you know, you don't even need to always be attacking. These are principles that you can use in multiplayer games as well. You don't always need to be attacking. If you can make your opponent lose so many points by using their units, you know, inefficiently like that, then you will have a huge advantage. You will have a 250 or 300 point advantage over your opponent now in terms of the points that they do not have. So with those extra points that you have and those points that they have lost, you could buy another tank, and they no longer have that tank. Maybe they have to wait for their resources to come back up to generate again, but for that moment then, you have the advantage over your opponent. So that's some of the things that we can think about when we're looking at the units and their prices specifically in regards to the terrain as well. But for now, let's just let's just start the mission here. What counts is not necessarily the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure a Chihuahua is gonna beat a Rottweiler though. Okay. So the game starts, and actually you start with no units. And if we use the middle mouse button, if we hold the middle mouse button down, we can actually rotate the camera and have a look around at this this terrain. And now, so usually the first thing I like to do is to not spawn my units immediately. We can spawn them by clicking on the two stages here. We see the resources that we need to spawn them in would be 40 and 60, total 100. You start with 100 anyway, so like I said, you can immediately bring in 2 stages at the start, but not 3 or 4 as well, if you have those unlocked. So if we have a look at this objective, the objective of the game when you're attacking is you have to capture both the objectives on the map. And if you have a look at the mini-map here, you can see both the objectives are highlighted with a red line. And on the actual map here, you see the white dotted line going around it. So to capture the objective, all you have to do is have your units inside the objective or more units inside the objective than your enemy does. So this is the first objective. The second objective is actually just directly behind it. So in this way, actually, it would be, it seems a fairly linear approach can be taken. You know, as soon as you've taken the first objective, you can pretty much walk down the road to start assaulting the second one. Let's spawn the units in first, which start down here. So the first thing we get once we actually spawn the units in is we can see a difference between what we can see and then the fog of war, which is grayed out. So although you can see the trees and the river and the road and such, if there are any enemy units, say hiding in this forest, behind the trees, on the road, or anything like that, they won't be revealed to you because fog of war is enabled. And so if you don't want your units to die a fiery death of machine gun bullets being sprayed out from somewhere they can't see, you need to make sure that you are spreading your own infantry units out so that they can spot, or they can at least reveal what's on the map for you. And that's why I like bringing those cheap border patrol infantry units. So if I click the second stage here, if we mouse over it, it tells you what is in the second stage. Let's activate that, and there we go. So these are the cheap border patrol units, squads of 6 men. So I'm going to use these as scouts, essentially. And to do that, what I need to do really is spread them out. I want to make sure that if there are any enemy units waiting in ambush on the left side, I know that. If there are any enemy units waiting on the right side, I also know that. And these units are cheap. If they run into even an enemy tank and they all get mowed down, you know, we can remember that this entire squad only cost 36 resources, which is really negligible. So we'll send them off to the left side over here. Maybe can even use this building here temporarily to hide in. If I send them to hide behind the fence for now. This second squad of border patrol I can send, say, over to this building too. Why not? Let's just place them here right now. It doesn't really matter if they are in a good fighting position immediately. Usually, like, right at the start of the mission, you won't be, immediately under fire. You don't have to sweat or stress about things attacking you super soon, but you do need to make sure that you don't spend too much time doing this, because the AI just might attack you. And then these other units I have, this would be the anti-tank rifle squad. And so these are a high value unit because I need these to kill any enemy tanks that might come along. And so I don't want them at the front line. I don't want them scouting. I don't want them getting ambushed. Essentially, what we want to do with these high value units is keep them behind the main line. And then when you find an opportunity to use them, which would be, in this case, tanks, then you can go back to where they are safe and not dying, and purposely bring them forwards for that, specific purpose of killing the tank. Once it has served its role, then you retreat it again and keep it safe. It just has that one role, and you don't want it randomly dying to other things in the meantime. And I did bring 2 of them. So what I could do here is, because I have my nice big anti-infantry gun here, this light infantry gun, the 76mm M1927, I can use that, let's say, and I can use that to project anti-tank force directly down this road. Then I could, because I have 2 squads of the anti-tank rifles, I could keep 1 anti-tank rifle on the right side and 1 anti-tank rifle on the left side. And in that way, then I have options. If there is a tank on the left, I have an option for that. If there's a tank on the right, I have an option for that. And again, anything in the center, I have this large infantry gun as an option for that too. So you're just trying to prepare in advance for those things that might happen, and you're thinking about, what the opponent might bring, and what you can do to counter that. Now, because this is an infantry gun, it is, as the name implies, also good at killing infantry, so it is a kind of dual role gun. And if we want to move it, you see, if we just click, oh, this one does automatically move. Okay, a lot of the time with units like this gun, when you want to move them, you have to use this change artillery position, which is also left control. So if I press left control now, they will stop, and now they can aim and shoot, but when they are in their carrying mode, they can't shoot. And so now when I click, or if I stop again, if I click to the left, it will move to the left, it will aim to the left. If I right click on this side, again, it's not going to move now because it's in firing mode and not movement mode. And if you didn't see any of the videos yesterday, this game, Ostfront, has a very nice feature, which is direct control mode. We can access the direct control mode by pressing the E key, like this. So this is, and direct control mode actually has 2 different kinds of modes itself. One looks like this, where the map is still top down like in traditional RTS, and we can use our mouse to aim. The numbers next to our mouse tell us how far away we are aiming. And if we wait, we can see the reticule, the white circle around where we are aiming, will increase or decrease. If we hold it still, it decreases. And that essentially represents your accuracy. The smaller the white circle is, the more accurate the round is going to be, and the more likely you are to hit what you are aiming at. So for a quick test of that, we'll just shoot here. There we go. And boom goes the HE shell. Now, some guns come with multiple types of ammunition. If you have a look at the center bottom of the screen here, you can see that this is an HE, or high explosive shell. We have 40 of them, But for some guns, they have multiple types of ammunition, and if you want to change the type of ammunition that it's firing, you can press the spacebar. Spacebar does nothing for this gun, and so that means it only has high explosive rounds. If you play, if you directly control a tank, for example, with its main gun, it usually has at least 3 different kinds of ammunition. Different kinds of armor-piercing ammunition, and also the high explosive ammunition, which you can use to kill infantry well or other soft, non-armored targets. Now, this is, like I said, just one of the direct control modes. There are 2. If we want to switch to the other direct control mode, we can press T. These are the default controls. If you want to change these, you can change them. But if I press T now we enter into a kind of third-person mode, which is more reminiscent of some other, third-person shooter games like Call of Duty or Hell Let Loose and other games like that. If we right-click, we can even get a increased aiming mode. So this allows you to have more direct control over the HE gun, and even to bombard areas where maybe you don't actually see any enemy units at the moment, but you suspect that there might be some enemy units there. The AI won't just shoot at things unless you actually tell it to, or unless it knows there's an enemy there. But through direct control, you can change that. So if I want to shoot at these trees, maybe I think there's some infantry hiding behind these trees that haven't been revealed, then I can do exactly that. And down goes the tree. People can't hide behind the tree anymore. This is a nice feature of the destructible terrain. And I will be showing some more features of this destructible terrain further up the road where the objective is. But what I noticed there when I zoomed in low to the ground, one of the things that we have to pay attention to is the height of the terrain. The height of the terrain will effectively tell you whether you can see, or whether your units can see and shoot things, or whether they can't. If some units are hiding, say, behind a small hill like this one, then your units won't actually be able to have direct line of sight to anything that is behind it. And that could be a problem that could get you ambushed. Let's have a look down the road here. So if the AI is going to be defending this objective with infantry or vehicles, generally the infantry are going to try and take cover behind things. And that's also something that you need to do yourself. If a soldier is just standing out in the open and standing, not crouching, not lying down, of course they are much easier to shoot and kill than soldiers that are, say, stood behind some sandbags like these ones here, or even just stood behind these wagons, these barrels. You can even send them inside these buildings to shoot out the windows. And so sometimes it can be difficult, if we look out here, there are no buildings, there isn't really much cover. There's a log there that we can probably use, but otherwise the advantage is on the defender here, because they have a lot of cover that they can use to reduce how much they get shot, whereas outside here we don't. But we can even the odds using this infantry gun, because the terrain is destructible, or at least this wooden terrain that we see here is destructible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my HE gun maybe to the bridge, maybe a little bit over the bridge, and I'm going to try destroying everything that is inside this objective, or everything that I can at least destroy. And that's going to even the playing field for my infantry against the AI's infantry. Now, I'm not going to send the infantry gun first. This is, like I said, this is a high value unit. And so what we use is we use the low value units to go first, to get shot in the face, because they are cheap, they are disposable, they are replaceable. The expensive infantry gun is not disposable, is not so easily replaceable. It would cost 300 resources to replace if it was totally destroyed. And if that's a cost that you are paying every single battle, then you're really going to be on the back foot, and you'll maybe even then going to start running out of units after some time. You're going to start running out of resources where the AI isn't. So let's send these cheap guys forward first to see if they can spot anything. This is my good squad, okay? And that sound of a gun tells me that there is some infantry here. So I'm going to select all of these guys, and I'm going to press Q to tell them to lie down. So now lying down, they are less likely to get shot, and they did kill the lone infantryman that was over there. So now no running forwards, or maybe running forwards because they are cheap and disposable, like I said. One soldier was already killed. But we don't just want to send one squad at a time. We don't want to send things in piecemeal. One squad, one squad, one squad. What we want to do is we want to try and have what's called sometimes an economy of force. And that means all of the units that you have, all of the force that you have needs to be being used together. And not one by one, not one squad going in, trying to use one squad and them dying, and then you send in the second squad and try to use them and they die. That's not good economy of force. You want to try and bring all of them together. And because I have 4 squads of infantry, I have the good squad here. They can come into the middle. These are going to be the scouts in the middle. These infantry on the left side over here are going to be the scouts on the left side, and the units on the right side are going to be the scouts on the right side, but not only scouts. What I essentially want to do is I want to follow my plan of being able to destroy all of the cover that's inside here, have my infantry here ready to assault once that's ready, but also have infantry on the left side, also have units on the right side. And then when you have that, you have these kind of converging lines of fire. So instead of just firing in one direction, you have fire coming from directly this way. You also have fire coming from the right side and from the left side. That means, if you have enemy units that are behind some cover, they are directly protected from fire coming this way, but they won't be protected from fire coming from the right. They won't be protected from fire coming from the left, and they can't just run away, because if they are pinned down and they try to run away, then the units on the right, the units on the left will be able to get clean shots on them and take them out. And this is a general principle of Wargames, is this kind of converging lines of fire idea. So I'm going to try and send these recon units forward a bit. Just stand them up by pressing Control, let them run forwards. And maybe they can take cover at least a little bit behind these logs. Maybe one behind the wagon here. Okay. As they are doing that, I can bring up the infantry on the left side too. Engaging another infantry unit over here, who is just standing still for some reason. So this is a good example of why just standing up is not really very effective. If this unit was crouching down like he is now, or was lying down, this is much more effective. You see a lot of the bullets are pinging off of the log, but down he goes. So if he had been actually lying down or crouching to begin with, he could have more effectively provided some return fire, but he wasn't. So not forgetting the sacrificial recon squad on the right side either, also bring them up. These logs look like they can be used for cover, and if we mouse over them, it will show us a silhouette that they can actually, so let's use that. The good infantry squad. It's a little bit split up. Let's get them out there. And also start now moving up some of these support units like the medics. Now the medics can revive units that are bleeding out. And especially for these higher value riflemen here, these more expensive ones, if you can revive them when they're bleeding out, then you're going to be saving yourself resources in the long run. And when you apply that idea to a multiplayer game, if your opponent can try to kill one of your units, but then you revive it. They didn't kill it, they didn't succeed, but they did have to try and reveal, they did have to reveal themselves, they did have to spend bullets, and you do know where they are now, but you prevented them from gaining that kind of advantage. So I'll send these units behind that. Let's click on the anti-infantry gun, change it to movement mode, and bring it along the road here. And as I said before, I'm going to try and use these anti-tank riflemen on the flanks. So one squad to the right side, one squad to the left side over here. These infantry have scouted fairly effectively. What I might do even is just send one unit to face to the left side here. Press control so he's lying down, not easy to shoot. I'm going to leave this unit here. If we have a look at the map here, we can see his cone of vision is essentially revealing this forest. And so if by some chance the AI does decide that it wants to send some units through here, or if you're in a multiplayer game, you know, flanking is an excellent tactic, but just having one infantry unit facing in a direction, you know, lying down or at least behind cover will allow you to at least see things coming or be notified, you know, when things are spotted and the fighting begins. And so these cheap units are really excellent for that kind of thing. So where are we up to here with the scouting? Not sure if this is a reasonable distance for my HE gun, but we'll see. Let's bring it up here. Let's bring the good infantry squad up through the trees here. These infantry units, and I'm going to do the same thing on the right side here. So just like I left one infantry unit here just for the purpose of scouting and revealing the terrain, I'm going to do the thing on the right, the same thing on the right side too. So I'll leave one unit here. I'll leave this one rifleman right there. Stay. Okay. And at least behind something, at least lying down. These guys can get up. Okay. Let's go. Let's see what would be a good position for them. Now this terrain looks like a good position to fire on. You see, we have the height advantage here. And so now what I might want to do is I might want to alter my plans for my infantry gun. Firing directly here can work, but generally if you can fire from a height advantage, you'll be able to see more and you'll also be able to shoot more as well. So let's see if I can move this anti-infantry gun through the forest, maybe to the right side here, and always behind units, always through terrain that has already been spotted and revealed, so that you know this high value target is not going to be ambushed and lost, and you're not going to lose all of those points that you spent when you bought it. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to keep using these units just as scouts. I only want one. Send one back over here. This guy over here, can he hide in his house? Is there a window? There's a window there. Okay. Let's use the window if we can. And just get him to look out the window there. This is a nice defensive position. You know, he has the walls covering him, preventing him from being shot too easily. But looking out the window also reveals all of this terrain here. Now, in some ways, you know, you could say that this is being too careful when you're just playing the first mission against AI in the conquest mode, and I would agree with you to some extent. But this is about the general principles that you can apply in these games. It's not, you know, purely about this one battle I'm playing here. These are principles that you can always apply in multiple games, and not just Gates of Hell Ostfront. So let's send one guy on top of this hill here, and he might even be able to get some nice line of sight onto this objective. I'll send these two guys up a little bit here, again purely for the purpose of recon and revealing things. I don't want to get them too close. I don't want to get them shot by a machine gun or something. Okay, and we can hear the shooting going on there. It means that Maybe he has been spotted. Yep, there are some infantry units in there. Try and move the anti-infantry gun up again. Make sure to change it to its movement mode and not its firing mode. And the AI did kill that infantry unit there. He is bleeding out. I think the medics are a little bit too far behind now to actually revive him. But because that's a very cheap unit, it's not, you know, a super big deal. That's the point of having them. So here's the medics. Let's make them run up at least. And so it's not like a mad dash to assault and attack and just send all your units in one direction. You're spreading out. You're trying to gain intel about where enemy units might be so that you can then attack in the most efficient way possible. So it looks like some infantry units are coming out across the river there. So I'll bring some of my own infantry units to the edge here, where they will be able to see and shoot and prevent too many units from going into the forest there. Okay, make them lie down. So now these enemy units have been caught out in the open. My MG soldier is firing away at them. They don't have very much cover. Neither do I, but I do have a superiority of numbers at least. Do have some medics in the back. Bring up the rest of the soldiers here. And now I'll see if I can bring out this HE gun to the forest just about, let's say, here, where they can get a nice line of sight of this objective. Remember to press movement mode to make it change direction. Sorry, to actually be able to move. Okay. So by having these other infantry units off on the right side and surrounding the objective, you know, I can feel confident that I'm not going to be ambushed, so that I can use this infantry gun well. I'll bring up some more infantry, let's say on the left side here. These units can also come up into a flanking position over here. My HE gun is firing automatically by itself. It does have line of sight now. And so now we have this kind of these converging lines of fire. The infantry are being shot from the right side, from the left side now as well. They're being bombarded by the HE gun. I can bring up these infantry that were waiting behind the log here, bring them across the bridge to pressure a bit more directly from this front side as well. I don't want to get them too close. My original idea was that I want to bombard this and just safely kill as much as I can without, you know, just wasting infantry. And my HE gun is doing a great job of destroying this cover anyway. Let's have a play with this. There we go. Look at that. So now we can just fire away. 3 kills, I think, with that shell. Now, you might be able to hear a little rumbling of an engine. That's a giveaway that there's a vehicle approaching. So what I might do now is make sure that I have some anti-tank infantry ready. I have one here. Make sure that they come up a little bit. Check on the left side that the anti-tank infantry is available. Make sure they come up to support the infantry, and the vehicle is over here. I just saw it on the map. But it has disappeared for the meantime. Okay, and you see we can even destroy the sandbags, so that the infantry has nothing left to hide behind, essentially. So we're just leveling this battlefield until there's nothing left for them to hide behind, and then it'll be so much easier to take out, or to at least capture this objective. And I can take my time. Although if we have a look at the ticker, the resource ticker at the very top middle of the screen, the AI is reaching the halfway mark. But it's not a super big deal. Once we take the first objective, that tick rate will be reduced, and we will have even more time then to reinforce and slowly move up to take the second objective. So you don't need to worry too much. Oof, that was a direct hit. That was very nice. You don't need to worry too much about the time limit. You can hear that engine again. There we go. I'm going to try destroying this shed here, just to make sure there's no infantry hiding behind it. That's an anti-tank rifle infantry. See if we can kill him. Very nice. You see, they automatically try to take cover behind something, behind sandbags, behind logs, behind whatever they can. And there we saw a unit just come out from hiding behind this shed here. So once we destroy the shed, they won't be able to do that. They won't be able to sneakily ambush my infantry. Nowhere left to hide. So this is the efficiency that I was talking about. I have a very high value unit here in my HE gun. Actually, what I can see is at the bottom middle of the screen, we can see there's only 13 shells left. And that is why I bought and I brought this ammo crate. So if I change their position so that they can actually move, I will bring this ammo crate over here to the right side and next to the HE gun so that it can be resupplied and it can keep firing. So let's see if we can maybe scout out that vehicle by taking direct control of this anti-tank rifle infantry. This is often, a nice way to take out the vehicles because those are high value targets. Okay. Gained line of sight on some infantry here. We can also kill infantry with this gun. That was a miss. But I don't want to use this unit as like a frontline combat unit, to be honest. It's just there, and like I said, following my own principles that I say are good principles, it's there to be brought up when there is, a tank to be killed. So I'm going to avoid keeping it on the front line, and I'm instead going to bring some infantry up on this side here. I do have some more infantry in the back. Over here. So let's bring them over as well. But essentially, as long as the vehicle isn't, assaulting my infantry, I'm not really under a lot of pressure to find it and kill it at the moment anyway. But I definitely do need to resupply the HE gun. So I'm going to bring the ammo crate over to it. And here we go. It is now resupplying, or it should be at least. Yep, and if we have a look at the number of shells at the very bottom middle, we can see it's going up 5, 6, 7. And so we are resupplying now. And we can just continue bombarding away. that was a highly inaccurate shell. So we have to wait. We have to let the white circle decrease as much as it can before firing if we want to have any kind of accuracy. But it looks like the infantry is kind of falling back now. They have decided they have died enough. So now this might be a good time to try and advance and see if it's possible to capture this objective. There's a soldier bleeding out here. These two soldiers actually ran out of ammunition. They shot so much. See if we can send the medic over to revive this soldier. Make sure he's not going to crawl the whole way. So off he runs. And we can send both of these two soldiers also over to this supply crate here to give them some more ammunition. So now I need to make sure I bring up the rest of these infantry so that this medic also does have some supporting fire from infantry around it. Again, you know, you're not just moving one unit, you're not just moving one squad. You're trying to bring all of the kind of the semicircle of fire forwards together, so that no matter whether there are still units there or not, you can once again resume that kind of converging lines of fire. I think that there's still one rifleman at the back here that got left behind. Make sure he comes up. Another one here. And it looks like some infantry returned. And we can go straight back to bombarding them. Now the accuracy is a little bit low at this kind of distance, although I did get that hit. So then you start to see, for shooting like into this area here, the accuracy is fairly good, but once we start trying to shoot to the back area here, it's not so good. So if we can at a certain point, then we will try to move the infantry gun forwards a bit to make sure its accuracy is not so terrible. Because if it can fire, but it can't hit anything, then it doesn't really have any value. Waiting for the accuracy circle. Still pretty awful accuracy. See some more infantry coming in here. So I can see these infantry coming in here on the left side of the objective because I put the infantry there to spot them. If I hadn't done that, they wouldn't be revealed to me. All of this snowy area there would be, you know, grey. And I wouldn't be able to see anything. And I'm glad now, having a look at how many infantry there are out here, that I didn't try to send my infantry in just yet. Okay, they're hiding behind this shed here, so let's destroy the shed. And so this is like, you know, the kind of support role that this gun can also provide. Is not just killing things, but removing cover for infantry to hide behind. Because a lot of the time, the units that you will be fighting in these battles will be infantry. And infantry are a core component. Whether you're playing, you know, the conquest mode or the campaign or the multiplayer, you need infantry. The vehicle is on the minimap. I don't think I can see it quite. There it is, there it is, there it is. Let's see. Nope, that was a bad accuracy. So now I have a choice. I could maybe try to kill it with the HE gun. That was a good shot. Or I could even... Ah, there we go. I think that would be enough. I think they might jump out now. Yep, there they go. So I decrewed the vehicle by damaging it too much. I'll go back to my anti-infantry duties now. Ooh, dirty, dirty, dirty. That was brutal. Ooh, 3 kills. So this is high efficiency. I mean, we'll see at the end of the match just how many kills that this one infantry gun got, and it's going to be quite a lot. because we're using it efficiently and we're using it, in the way that is kind of designed to be used. And that is not at the front line, behind at least some lines of infantry that are providing the line of sight that can spot all of these units for you, so that you can then put this gun's superior range to good use. So this looks, it looks messy. We can see all of the, if I press V, this will show us all of the dead bodies, and there are a lot of them. And we can scavenge some of their materials once we get into there. But I think that, judging by the amount of dead bodies, I should be able to move my infantry into this objective now. Not super safely, but at this stage now, with the AI on 650 points and having no captured objective yet, I should generally move in now for this capture. Now, another thing I like to do, and I have said in other videos, is because the medics only come with a basic pistol, once you're on the battlefield with them, you can scavenge a rifle for them so that they will be much more combat effective. If we press C, it will highlight dropped weapons on the map. We can see the carabiner, oh no, the Mosin Nagant. I'm playing Russia, of course. The Mosin Nagant rifle here. So if I just stand my medic up and I hold C, I can right click on the rifle here. He will pick it up, and then if I then press X, I can access the inventory of this soldier and take the ammunition. So that this medic now can use a rifle rather than just a pistol. And make sure he lies down again. This guy has run out of ammunition, so off he runs to the supply box here. These have resupplied, and they can go back to the front line now. Don't want him to crawl all the way. Move these guys forward. Press Control to make them stand up at least. Press Control so these... Well, if we press Control, there we go. They will all stand up. And we can move them forward a bit now. Okay, they're a little bit closer. They should be able to engage in combat a bit more effectively. Want these guys to also lie down. And these soldiers in the back here, we can also get them to run forwards to the objective. And the HE gun, the infantry gun in the forest here, is still just continuing to provide that really, really valuable fire support. Holding the V key, we see so many dead bodies on the German side. Very, very high efficiency. Okay, so I'll get these three guys to... I've destroyed all of the cover almost, but there are some scraps left. And there are even some infantry trying to come down the side of the river here. But I have my MG. That's not the MG soldier. That's not the MG soldier. Who is the MG soldier? This one. So where is my... Yep. Even over here, the anti-infantry gun is doing a great job of pinning down these infantry units, stopping them from just moving wherever they want to. And we can right-click for it to attack specific targets if we'd like. Targets that are maybe a little bit too close for comfort. Or if it won't do it by itself, we can of course manually target. Oh dear, I hit a tree that was in the way. That was a little bit dangerous. Gotta be careful of doing that. And now I'll just try to move some of my infantry into the objective here to start capturing it. The AI does tend to come out with a lot of infantry, but this is just good general practice for the principles. Okay, make sure they are lying down and not standing up. We don't want them to do that. And we see here the objective is slowly being captured now. But there is something shooting at my infantry quite effectively. Something explosive that I don't have vision of. I can try to move an infantry unit over here to see if it can spot something. And another one here. And even this this panzer tank here can even just be repaired and captured by my own units, which is a really great way, at least in this game mode, to gain some extra equipment without having to actually buy it with the resources you have. Again, soldiers running out of ammo, but I have captured this objective now. That will slow the tick rate at least. I can then start moving up the rest of these units. I think I still have a couple of And now, although this was a good principle here for the line of sight, I can feel fairly confident, after however many minutes it's been, that there aren't going to be any units coming from this side. So now that that has been, established, those flanking units can be brought up. They don't have to just stay there the whole time. That's a medic. Should not be on the front line. Can, however, take a rifle. And this one as well. Can come over here and take a rifle. Let's take this SVT. Let's press X to take the ammunition. There is no ammunition, okay. Can use maybe the ammunition box for that. And now we can move up this infantry gun for some better accuracy. And we'll move the ammo box too. And all five of these riflemen have actually run out of ammo. That's funny. So we could do some battlefield scavenging here. Maybe take some of the enemy's rifles, such as these Carabiner 98s. If I tell this guy to stand up and run over here to the Carabiner 98, you can pick it up, press X to access the soldier's equipment, and just drag these cartridges. And now he has ammunition, and he has a gun he can use. It is a German gun, but a gun is a gun. And I can do the same with all of these guys. So I press C, reveal the guns on the ground, right click on the gun to pick it up, click on the dead soldier, and we can rifle through his pockets and take ourselves some extra ammunition. And we can even take these grenades if we like. Why not? Let's take some grenades. Okay. Same for these ones. Because without any ammunition, they are not really going to be good for anything. So I'll make them actually heal themselves first because they're low health. Take this Carabiner 98K as well. Press X, access the infantry. press X and access the infantry. Okay, there we go. Don't know why it wasn't working, now it's working. Give him the cartridges, give him a grenade or two, why not? Okay, jolly good. And the same for these medics who only have these two guys. Okay. He already has, I think, a rifle, but let's see. There's one here. Carabiner 98. Pick this one up. You can use that. Take the ammunition from this one, the rifleman. 7.62mm 54 rounds. Don't need so many bandages. Can instead take some ammo, so just trade them out. And it can feel a little bit in this game like the AI has something like infinite amounts of infantry to throw at you. It certainly feels that way. I'm not sure how many will be killed at the end. We can have a look at the death screen. One of the important things is basically to just not panic. Make sure you keep following the principles. Don't panic. Make sure your units keep following up, keep supporting each other. And this unit here as well. Don't forget your units. Make sure you check the mini-map. This unit as well over here. These units also move up. This one can move up. This is... I mean, considering how many infantry have already been killed, it's very surprising that the AI can still send even more. Okay. Small lull in the combat. Flashing symbol here means no ammo, but there are plenty of dead soldiers to take ammo from. And take the grenades too, they usually tend to use them pretty well. And make sure that they are using the German rifle and not the Soviet rifle, which cannot be used with German ammunition. This one was using a submachine gun, and I want him to use a rifle, so I'll just take some grenades there. Find a rifle. Take the rifle. Take rifle ammunition. And there we go. Okay, it's not a great amount, but it's something. Has the AI finally run out of units? And do I have time to repair this tank and scavenge it before the the resource ticker gets too high and I lose the battle. Just take all of these. Okay, good. Fine. Behind cover there. Let's say also behind cover here. Make sure these ones are coming up on the flank. Check the terrain so that we know whether we will be able to see things or not. Okay. Slowly advancing. Carefully advancing. This medic has no ammunition. Again, I'm gonna steal. Oh. It's endless. Or it feels endless. See if we can destroy this wooden building over here. Reduce the cover available. We do have a little bit of time left, I think. And it just might drive them out into the open. I did see a soldier there. Try not to shoot at the trees. And I think this infantry gun is just a little bit too far away to be super effective at the moment. So I'll see if I can move the infantry up. Try and get a weapon for this medic. He already has a weapon, okay. Let's see. He has the Carabiner 98K. Okay, he can use this ammo. And we can even use the tank here as cover. We can stand behind the tank and take cover behind it. Let's bring the infantry gun closer. And the infantry also around the sides here. I'm also gonna even move my anti-tank infantry squads up, as I'm getting a little bit low on everything even. No ammo there. There's ammo here. Let's see, is there an MP41? Yeah, okay. We can take the MP41 ammunition. Okay, that's fine. Now let's have a look. Now that it's a bit closer, I think, yes, this gun does not have good line of sight from this position, so we'll have to move it again. Tried to rush and failed. See if we can stand a soldier behind this cover here. One behind the fence here too. Move the soldiers on the left side, sorry, the right side also up. And one soldier over here, forgotten. Let's also move him up. So if I want to try and repair this tank, it is getting a little bit close, but I do think I have the time. So if I press X and I access this tank's inventory, there are repair kits. I do need enough space in the inventory to take the repair kit, so if I take those out, and if I press Shift and R, I can ask this soldier to start repairing this tank. I can do exactly the same with this one as well. Take a repair kit. Take a bandage, actually, and you can heal yourself first. Okay. Heal. The The infantry gun now does have a better line of sight and can provide some supporting fire. This soldier healed, and now I can press Shift and R because he does have the repair kit, and he can now assist in repairing this Panzer 1. These soldiers can come forwards. Slowly, carefully. Make sure things are in cover. Make sure that when you're advancing when there isn't much resistance. When you've killed most of the enemy units, or at least you think you've killed most of the enemy units. See if I can take control of this HE gun myself. Make sure I ask it to move first. And we've almost won this match now. Do a little bit more bombardment with the infantry gun, wait for this tank to be repaired, try to scavenge it and capture it ourselves. Tell those guys to lie down. Take control of the HE gun. Let's see, where are they hiding? Have to change to firing mode and not movement mode. There we go. There's definitely a unit hiding behind here. Wait for the accuracy circle to decrease. Try again because we hit those logs. There we go. Nothing to hide behind anymore. And down that soldier goes. Okay, seems clear for the moment. Where's the ammo crate? Here it is. Let's bring the ammo crate a bit closer. Let's bring the ammo crate here. We can ask all the soldiers just to run over to the ammo crate and resupply. Much easier than just taking from dead soldiers all the time, that's for sure. Okay, let's take that and that. And this one is not much, but it's better than nothing. Okay. There's the ammo crate. Where's all the rest of the infantry? Just select them all, run over into the radius of the ammo crate here. And start resupplying. These guys too. And let's see, how are we doing with this tank? Is it almost fixed? Still have those repair kits. We can still help. Cutting it close with the resources here, but I think we do have enough time to repair this tank still. And then capture it. And then, that is also a really efficient way to manage your resources. Because as you could see with the pre-battle screen, buying tanks, they're not cheap. They cost generally in the hundreds of resources. So if you can allow your opponent to spend those resources, and then you capture that, that's being very efficient with your resources, and essentially your opponent is spending their points for you in some ways. So I will try to wait and see if they can fix this thing up in time. Yep, vehicle repaired, okay. So I can just tell them to... This is a medic, I don't want him to be in the tank. Just a normal rifleman would be fine. This one too, in they get. And here we have now a free tank, wonderful. It's not a great tank, it does only have an MG, but it is an armored vehicle and it is also a very effective anti-infantry vehicle. So I can leave this right here as support. All of these soldiers now have successfully resupplied, have captured the tank, And I think at this stage now we can just capture the objective in the very last moments before the game is actually lost, and successfully win this battle. So moving all the infantry up now, I think everything is dead. If the AI could still bring more units now, I would quit. That would just be totally unfair. Just putting my infantry now into the objective, wait for that to tick down, and we win. That's it. A very hard won battle, if I'm honest. But just putting those, even with it being so hard, with there being so many enemy infantry units, you can see as long as you put the resources that you have at your disposal to good use, you can still come out victorious. And I think the end game screen, especially the kills list, is going to show just how efficient the anti-tank gun here has been. Just see if I can move this crate over here to resupply it a little bit. Why not? Press V, have a look at all the dead bodies. So yellow is my men, red is the Germans, but of course, being so long into the game now, the ones that were here have disappeared over time. There we go. Captured and game won. So the AI brought 68 infantry units, and the defender AI had 19 infantry units, so it's about a total of 80 or 90. Yeah, 87. So killed 87 infantry while only losing 22 infantry, and also killing a vehicle which we then captured, and so we can add that to our own army now. Okay. So let's have a look at the details. So this is the anti-infantry gun here. It actually got, out of the total 87 kills that my team got, 43 of them were just from this HE gun. So it's very similar to yesterday when I was using a tank as the high value unit instead of a anti-infantry gun. The tank also got a very similar amount of kills, and so using these high value units in the right way, you see, can be very effective. And even the riflemen themselves, you see, some of these riflemen were also very effective, being only one man but still getting 5 infantry kills, gives them an effectiveness of 578%, which is not small. The HE gun here, although it did get a huge amount of infantry kills because it's so expensive, that's only 211% effective, but that's still incredibly effective, and that's getting a lot of value for the resources that we spent to buy that unit. Okay, have a brief browse through the history. So at the start, I did lose a couple of the cheap units, as they were, as I was using them just as a kind of recon cheap exposable units. Some of them did get killed along the way, and that's fine, that's what I wanted them for. So there they are, the border militia again, again. But each one of these, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 border militia units, which in total I think comes to about 42 resources. And in the same time that I lost 42 resources, let's say, I made the AI, my opponent, lose an incredible amount of infantry in comparison. If we go down, we can see that. And most of these kills are coming from that 76mm M1927 anti-infantry gun. And it was the same yesterday with the video where I was using the tanks, browsing through the kill list. You know, most of them are coming from that tank. As long as you get it into the right position, you make sure it's supported and used in the correct way. And you know, these are the principles that you generally will apply, not just to Gates of Hell Ostfront, but to other games as well, whether it's Steel Division or Wargame or Men of War. You know, using principles such as recon and understanding where your opponents are, making sure that you have vision of the different areas so that you can't be flanked, so that your high value units can't be ambushed and killed, and you lose a lot of resources to sometimes very cheap units, because this anti-infantry gun, this 76mm, you know, it's really crude just by 4 infantry units, and those 4 infantry units can be killed by 1 grenade. So, you know, if you are playing against someone who is using one of these anti-infantry guns, let's say you're playing multiplayer, if you can utilize the whole map, if you can try to flank around your opponent and not just try to brute force your way from the front and keep sending wave after wave, you know, into the area where your opponent wants you to go. You know, if you instead go around your opponent, try to use the fog of war and the line of sight just to be able to get around and flank. Like I said, just 1 grenade placed well, 1 grenade thrown at this anti-infantry gun would take it out, and that would be a very high value kill for very little points spent on your side. Let's just browse through a bit more. Let's see some infantry kills. Okay. And this is where the first flag was captured. So it took 45 minutes to capture the first flag and kill about 50 infantry units maybe, and then killed another 30 infantry units defending that objective and moving on to the second one. And of course, you know, if you like this mode, this dynamic campaign, it's called, you can actually play this with a friend. It does have a co-op mode, and it definitely makes the game easier, you know, and it can be a lot of fun as well if, you know, maybe you don't want to micro and control all of these different infantry units all over the map. You can instead just say, you know, if you like this anti-infantry gun, you can give your friend control of this anti-infantry gun and just this, and your friend can sit on a hill just slinging shells away and bombarding things, while you yourself control the rest of the infantry, or vice versa, you know, depending on what you want to do. And it is a very fun game to play with your friends, and definitely easier when you don't have to control every little thing, because I think you could see at some points it was a little bit, well, let's not say a little bit, like, I'm an experienced gamer, and every single mission in this game, it tends to be quite difficult, but as long as you do apply these correct principles when you are playing, and make sure you're considering the value of the units and how much you paid for them. Make sure you protect your high value units and use your cheap disposable units as your, let's say, your, what would you call it, like this kind of front line that can just advance. If they get killed, it's fine. You're just using these cheap units to get information. Where are the enemies? Where are the enemy units? And then you use your higher value units, whether it's your better infantry that come with machine guns and higher health, better weapons, more equipment. You use them to do the killing, and you use your cheap units like this border militia, this border patrol. Only 36 resources for the whole squad. Even if I lose 3 squads, that's about 100 resources, and that's no big deal. So you can send 1, 2, 3 of these squads, one on the right flank, one on the left flank, just for the purpose of recon, just for the purpose of information. And if they die, it's no big deal. And if they don't die and you get some value out of them, that's like a bonus. But you try to work around where your value is. And so for this one, I used this anti-infantry gun as my value unit, and so I had to play around it. I had to use this to get, well, half of the kills of the entire match was from this unit. And because it survived, because they got so many kills, we see all of these artillerymen now are double vet. They get some nice bonuses like some extra HP, some extra stamina, increased accuracy. And we even captured this Panzer I tank. So this is a German tank. I'm playing as the USSR, but I have a German tank now. This was a free tank. I didn't have to buy it. I just decrewed it by shooting it with the anti-infantry gun. And then once I could move my infantry up, and I knew my infantry were not going to be shot while repairing it, like I said, you can press X, click on the tank, take the repair kits out of the tank, put them into your infantry unit's inventory, and then you use Shift R as the repair command. Start repairing the tank. Once it's repaired, put some infantry units into it, and here we have it, a free captured tank, a German tank that you can't get actually any other way than by capturing it, at least in this mode. But this kind of this mechanic still works in the other modes. It still works in multiplayer as well. If you can decrew an enemy tank and repair it and capture it, that's a lot of value for yourself, just using a couple of infantry units to repair it and crew it again. And you didn't spend any resources other than the infantry units you have to take that unit. And that's a high value play. And that's how you then build up, an excess of force on your side to have that advantage over your opponent. But I see that this is almost up to 2 hours, which is my my stream limit. I usually stream in 2-hour segments, and I see we're coming up on 1 hour and 45 minutes now. So I'll just resupply all of these units, and resupply is going to give me all of the men back. We see out of this 6-man squad, only 2 survived. But resupplying with this button here, we can do it either individually. So I can resupply this 1 unit by pressing resupply here. I get my 4 men back, or we can resupply all and fix everything. It depends on you. Do you think that this border patrol squad is worth it resupplying or not? Choose to resupply it. If you think everything, just resupply all like this, and there we go. And like I said, a free tank, excellent value there. But I think I'm going to stop this stream for now. I might do another stream later today. If you did enjoy the stream, you found it helpful learning about how to do these things and how to put your units to best use, the kind of tactics you can use in war games like this. Of course, I would appreciate it if you followed my channel. But otherwise, of course, just come by and watch, and I always appreciate that anyway. So that's it for this stream, and thanks for watching, and come back next time.